Throw them over, make it look like an accident. 2 bodies tumbled into the frozen void. 30 feet below, they crashed onto a narrow ledge, bones cracking, blood spraying across white snow. The killers walked away laughing. They didn't see the German Shepherd racing through the trees. They didn't see the Navy SEAL in digital camouflage sprinting behind him. They didn't know that the 2 FBI agents they'd just tried to murder were still breathing. And they had no idea that Ghost had already memorized their scent. Before we continue, tell us where you're watching from in the comments below. And if this story moves you, please subscribe and follow this journey until the very end. Let's see how far it travels together. Ghost stopped so fast his paws carved trenches in the snow. Lieutenant Commander Caleb Voss knew that posture. 4 combat tours in Afghanistan, hundreds of missions, thousands of hours working beside this German Shepherd. He knew what that rigid stance meant. Death, or something close to it. "What do you have, boy?" Ghost didn't bark. He whined, low, urgent, desperate. The sound he only made when he found something alive but fading fast. Then the dog bolted toward the cliff edge. "Ghost, wait!" Caleb ran after him, boots punching through crusted snow. His Navy working uniform wasn't built for Montana winters, but he'd stopped caring about comfort 3 years ago, when his teammates died in Kandahar, when the Navy decided his shoulder was too damaged for active duty, when the only family he had left became a German Shepherd who refused to let him disappear. Ghost reached the edge and started barking, sharp, frantic, echoing across the frozen mountains like gunfire. Caleb dropped beside him and looked down. His blood turned to ice. 30 feet below, on a ledge barely wide enough for 2 bodies, a man and a woman lay crumpled in the snow. Blood pooled beneath them. The man was moving, trying to crawl toward the woman with an arm that bent at an impossible angle. The woman wasn't moving at all.
"Hey, can you hear me?"
The man's head lifted. Pain carved every line of his face. He raised his good hand, not waving, but signaling military style. 3 short gestures. "Survivors, need help, danger above." Caleb scanned the tree line behind him. Nothing visible, but Ghost's hackles were up. His nose kept returning to a scent trail leading north. Someone had been here recently. "Hold on, I'm coming down." Caleb keyed his radio. "Base, this is Voss. 2 injured persons on a ledge below Widow's Peak. Severe trauma, possible hypothermia. Request immediate EMS and rescue team." Static crackled. Then, "Copy, Voss. Closest unit is 22 minutes out." 22 minutes. In this cold, with those injuries, 22 minutes was a death sentence. "Ghost, stay, guard." The German Shepherd sat immediately, but his eyes never left Caleb. "I'll be back, boy, promise." Caleb pulled the rescue rope from his pack, anchored it to a pine trunk, tested the weight. Then he went over the edge. The cliff face was frozen glass. Every foothold wanted to betray him. Wind cut through his uniform like razors. His damaged shoulder screamed with each grip of the rope. He didn't stop, couldn't stop. The ledge rushed up. Caleb's boots hit stone, and he was moving before he finished landing. The man first, conscious, watching him with eyes that held training behind the pain. "Easy, I've got you. What's your name?" "Webb, Marcus Webb." The words came out in gasps. "FBI, my partner, Sarah." "Is she—" Caleb turned to the woman, pressed 2 fingers to her throat. Pulse weak and thready, but present. A deep gash ran along her temple, blood already frozen at the edges. Hypothermia was setting in. "She's alive, but barely." Caleb pulled an emergency blanket from his kit and wrapped it around her. "What happened?" "Ambush. 2 men came from the trees while we were checking coordinates." "Coordinates for what?" Marcus's eyes sharpened despite the pain. "A case. Trafficking. We tracked transport routes to this region. Someone didn't want us looking. They pushed you off a cliff to stop an investigation." "They pushed us off a cliff to stop witnesses." Marcus grabbed Caleb's arm. "Listen to me. Whatever we found, it's big. Big enough to kill federal agents. Big enough to have people inside." "Inside where?" "I don't know, but they knew we'd be here. Knew our route, our timeline." Marcus's grip tightened. Someone fed them information. Someone with access above them. Ghost started barking. Different now. Not the urgent whine of finding survivors. The aggressive warning of detecting threats. Caleb's head snapped up. At the cliff edge, two figures appeared. Dark clothes, ski masks. One pointed down at the ledge. They're still alive. Then finish it. A rifle appeared.
Get down!
Caleb threw himself over Marcus and Sarah as the first shot cracked through the air. Stone exploded inches from his head. Shrapnel stung his cheek. "Ghost, attack!" The command echoed across the void. 70 pounds of German Shepherd hit the first shooter before he could fire again. Screaming erupted above. The second figure turned, raised his weapon toward the dog. Caleb drew his sidearm. One shot, center mass. The second figure staggered backward and disappeared from view. More screaming, ghost snarling, a terrible crash of bodies through snow and branches. Then silence. Ghost report. A bark, strong, healthy. The bark that meant threat neutralized. Caleb exhaled slowly. His hands were shaking, not from cold, but from the adrenaline crash that always followed violence. 3 years out of combat, and his body still remembered every sensation. That was a hell of a shot. Caleb turned. Marcus was staring at him with new assessment in his eyes. 50 feet uphill, handgun, in wind. Marcus coughed again. Military? Navy, former SEAL. Caleb didn't elaborate. Marcus tried to laugh, but it turned into a groan. Listen, whoever you are. Voss. Caleb Voss. Caleb's jaw tightened. How do you know my name? I was conscious for a few seconds during the rescue. I saw your uniform. Navy working uniform type 3. Woodland pattern. Means you served in places with trees, not deserts. You profile people based on their clothes. I'm FBI. I profile everyone. Sarah's eyes moved to Ghost. That dog saved my life. He saved both your lives. I know. I felt him hit the shooter before I passed out. Sarah reached out a hand. Ghost stepped forward and pressed his nose into her palm. What's his name? Ghost. 4 tours Afghanistan. Retired when I retired. Why Ghost? Because that's how we operated. In and out. No one saw us coming. No one saw us leave. Sarah's eyes met his. I need your help, Commander. Just Caleb, and I already helped. The FBI can take it from here. The FBI has a leak. Her voice dropped. Someone in our office gave us up. I don't know who. I don't know how high it goes. But whoever it is, they'll know you're involved now. They'll know Ghost tracked the attackers. They'll know you killed one and captured another. And Harlan Logistics has connections to law enforcement, to politicians, to judges. If the leak goes high enough, the man you captured might not survive the night. Caleb's jaw tightened. You're saying someone might try to silence him. I'm saying someone will try, unless we get to him first. We? I can't walk. I can barely see straight, but I have case files, intel, 8 months of evidence I haven't shared with anyone because I didn't know who to trust. She gripped his hand. Ghost found something in the attacker's scent. I saw his reaction. He recognized something. Caleb glanced at the German Shepherd. Ghost was watching Sarah with unusual intensity. He did. I don't know what yet. Then help me find out. Sarah's eyes filled with something fierce. Those trucks aren't moving frozen meat, Caleb. They're moving people. Women, children, families who disappear and never get found. I've spent 8 months trying to stop it. Today, someone tried to kill me for it. And you think I can do what the entire FBI couldn't? I think you already have. The door opened. A nurse entered with a tray of medication. Agent Chen needs rest. She's still in critical observation. Sarah didn't take her eyes off Caleb. Will you help me? He should have said no. He'd come to Montana to disappear, not to start another war. 3 years of trying to forget what he'd been, what he'd done, what he'd lost. But Ghost was looking at him. The same look he'd given in Kandahar when civilians were in danger. The same look that said, we don't walk away. We never walk away. Where is the man I captured being held? County lockup, 20 minutes from here. Caleb stood. Ghost, come. He paused at the door. Sarah's voice was barely above a whisper. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. We don't know what we're walking into. Yes, we do. Sarah's eyes were steady despite the pain. We're walking into the truth, and someone is going to die trying to stop us from finding it. Caleb looked at Ghost, at the door, at the war he was about to start. Then let's make sure it's not us. He walked out of the hospital room, a German shepherd at his side, and the weight of a new mission settling onto his shoulders. Behind him, Sarah Chen closed her eyes and prayed, for the first time in years, that she'd sent the right man into the darkness. The county lockup was a 20-minute drive from the hospital. Caleb made it in 12. Ghost sat in the passenger seat of his truck, nose pressed against the window, reading the night air for threats that human senses couldn't detect. The German shepherd hadn't relaxed since they left Sarah's room. His body hummed with tension, with purpose, with the hunting instinct that 4 combat tours had sharpened into something almost supernatural. Caleb understood the feeling. 3 years of trying to forget what he was. 3 years of pretending he could be normal. And now, driving through frozen darkness toward answers that someone had tried to bury with 2 FBI agents, he felt the old machinery clicking back into place. The warrior was waking up. His phone buzzed. David Chen. Caleb, where are you? 5 minutes from the lockup. Don't bother, the prisoner's gone. Caleb's foot hit the brake. The truck slid on ice before stopping. What do you mean gone? Someone transferred him an hour ago. Paperwork says federal custody, but I can't find any record of which agency or where they took him. Chen's voice was tight with barely controlled fury. He vanished, Caleb. Like he never existed. Who signed the transfer? Sheriff's deputy named Dutton, Ray Dutton. He's not answering his radio. Caleb's jaw clenched. Sarah was right. The leak goes deep, deeper than I thought. I've been making calls for the past hour. Everyone I talk to either doesn't know anything, or suddenly has somewhere else to be. A pause. These people are scared, Caleb. Whatever Harlan Logistics is into, it's big enough to make federal agents look the other way. Then we stop looking and start hunting. What does that mean? It means Ghost got a scent off that attacker. He recognized something. I don't know what yet, but I know how to find out. How? By going to the source. Caleb turned the truck around. Where does Dutton live? Caleb, this is... Where does he live? A pause. Then Chen gave him the address. Ray Dutton's house was a modest ranch on the outskirts of Pine Ridge. No lights, no vehicle in the driveway, no signs of life. Caleb didn't approach directly. He circled the block, checked sightlines, looked for surveillance. Then he noticed something that made him stop. Fresh tire tracks in the snow. Wide, heavy, the kind made by a large pickup truck. But the tracks didn't go to the driveway. They went around the back of the house. And they didn't come back out. Someone's here. Ghost's ears pricked forward. Yeah, I smell it too. They approached from the rear, Caleb's weapon drawn, Ghost in hunting stance. The back door hung open, not forced, unlocked, as if someone had left in a hurry or been taken. Caleb cleared the entrance, moved room to room, standard protocol. But every room was empty until he reached the basement. The door was ajar. A light flickered below. Ghost's growl deepened. Easy boy, with me. They descended together. The basement was unfinished. Concrete walls, exposed pipes, a single bulb swinging from a wire, and Ray Dutton tied to a chair in the center of the room. His face was pulp, beaten beyond recognition. Blood pooled beneath him, but he was breathing. Caleb rushed forward. Dutton, can you hear me? The deputy's eyes fluttered open. One was swollen shut. The other found Caleb's face and widened with terror. No, no more, please. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm trying to find out who did this. You're the seal from the cliff. That's right. And you're the one who transferred my prisoner to disappear. Dutton's broken face crumpled. I didn't have a choice. They said they'd kill my family. Who's they? I don't know names, just orders, phone calls, money in accounts. He coughed. Blood sprayed across his chin. But when the attack failed, when the FBI agents survived, they panicked. So they came for me, to clean up loose ends. Caleb's voice was low. You know who they are. Dutton's good eye fixed on him. You have to understand. I'm not the only one. Sheriff's Department, state police, even feds, a whole network. Give me names. I don't have names, just codes, numbers. The man who called me always used the same phrase. Harlan sends regards. That's how I knew it was real. Who runs Harlan? Victor Harlan, but he's not. He's not the top, he's just the face, the moneyman. Dutton's voice was fading. There's someone above him, someone they call the architect. I've never met him, never even heard his real name. But he's the one who builds these networks, city by city, state by state. Where can I find Victor Harland? He has a house outside town, but you won't get close. He has security, former military, good ones. How good? Dutton almost laughed. It came out as a wet gurgle. Not as good as you. Not if you're what I think you are. Caleb heard it then, engines outside, multiple vehicles. Ghost's head snapped toward the basement window. They're coming back. They'll kill me. I know. Caleb made a decision, the kind he'd made 100 times in combat, the kind that separated survivors from casualties. Can you walk? I don't think so. Then I'll carry you. Caleb cut the ropes binding Dutton to the chair. Ghost scout. The German shepherd disappeared up the stairs. Caleb hoisted Dutton over his shoulder in a fireman's carry. The deputy groaned but didn't scream. Where are we going? Somewhere they can't find you, and somewhere you can tell everything you know to people who can actually use it. The FBI? No, Sarah Chen. She's the only one I trust. They reached the top of the stairs as Ghost came running back. The dog's posture said hostiles, multiple, close. How many, boy? Ghost barked twice. 2 vehicles, probably 4 to 6 men. Then we go out the back. They moved through the dark house. Caleb's shoulder screamed under Dutton's weight. His damaged joint threatened to give out with every step. He didn't stop, couldn't stop. The back door was still open, cold air rushed in. Caleb could hear voices now, men coordinating at the front of the house. Clear the perimeter. If Dutton talked, kill him and anyone with him. Caleb ran. Ghost ran beside him, covering angles, watching for threats. The truck was 50 yards away, an eternity in the open. There, behind the house. Gunfire cracked through the night. Caleb felt a round snap past his ear. Another kicked up snow at his feet. He ducked, weaved, used every evasion technique 12 years of combat had taught him. Ghost, suppress! The German shepherd peeled off and charged toward the nearest shooter. Not to attack, to distract, to draw fire away from Caleb and his wounded cargo. It worked. The shooters turned toward the dog. Ghost zigzagged, impossible to track. 70 pounds of fury moving like liquid shadow. Caleb reached the truck, threw Dutton into the passenger seat, fired 3 rounds toward the house without looking. Ghost, come! The dog broke off his harassment run and sprinted toward the vehicle. Caleb threw open the door. Ghost leaped inside. Tires screamed. The truck fishtailed on ice. Bullets punched through the tailgate, missing the cab by inches. And then they were gone, swallowed by darkness and speed. Caleb drove for 15 minutes before he let himself breathe. Dutton was unconscious, blood loss and trauma finally catching up. Ghost sat in the back seat, panting, watching through the rear window for pursuit. Good boy. Caleb reached back without looking, found the familiar fur. Good boy. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered anyway. Commander Voss, we need to talk. The voice was calm, cultured, the kind of voice that came from expensive education and absolute power. Who is this? Someone who's been watching you with great interest. You've caused quite a stir, Commander. Victor Harland was a useful asset. His arrest has inconvenienced many people. Raymond Cross. A soft laugh. You've been talking to Agent Webb. I should have ensured his silence more permanently. Try it and I'll end you. Threats, how predictable. Cross's voice hardened. Let me be clear, Commander. You've won a battle. Nothing more. The network I've built has survived investigations, prosecutions, and regime changes for 3 decades. One soldier and his dog won't change that. Harlan said the same thing. He's in federal custody now. Victor was always expendable, a tool. Tools break, they get replaced. A pause. You, however, are becoming a problem. Your team, your FBI contacts, your inconvenient habit of surviving things you shouldn't. What are you going to do about it? I'm going to give you a choice, the same choice I gave Victor once. Join us or be destroyed. Your skills, your connections, your dog's remarkable abilities, they could be very useful to the right people. I'd rather die. That can be arranged, but first, consider what you'd be sacrificing. Cross's voice dropped. I have access to files you can't imagine, Commander. Military records, medical records, personal histories. For example, I know about Kandahar, about Staff Sergeant Michael Reeves and Sergeant First Class Danny Torres, your teammates who died in the ambush. Caleb's hand tightened on the phone. Don't. I know you blamed yourself. I know you spent 3 years hiding in the mountains hoping the guilt would kill you before you had to do it yourself. Cross paused. And I know something you don't. Something about that ambush that the official reports never mentioned. What are you talking about? It wasn't random, Commander. The Taliban didn't just stumble onto your position. Someone gave them your coordinates. Someone who wanted your team eliminated. You're lying. Am I? Ask yourself. How did the enemy know exactly where you'd be? How did they have the specific weapons needed to defeat your defensive position? How did they know the extraction timeline well enough to block every escape route? Caleb couldn't breathe. The memories crashed over him. The explosion, the gunfire, Michael's face as he took the bullet meant for Caleb, Danny screaming as the building collapsed. It wasn't an accident, Cross said. It was an operation. And the man who planned it is still out there, still powerful, still untouchable. Who? That information has a price, Commander. Walk away from this investigation. Disappear back into your mountains. Forget Victor Harland. Forget the network. Forget everything you've learned. Do that, and I'll give you the name of the man who killed your brothers. The phone shook in Caleb's hand. Sarah was watching him. Webb was watching him. Ghost pressed against his leg, sensing his distress. Go to hell. A predictable response. But consider this, Commander. Every day you continue this fight, more people will die. Your team, Sarah Chen, the victims you think you're protecting. One by one, they'll all disappear. And you'll watch helpless, knowing you could have stopped it. I don't negotiate with monsters. Everyone negotiates eventually. Some just take longer to realize it. Cross's voice softened. You have 48 hours to reconsider. After that, the offer expires, and so do the people you care about. The line went dead. Caleb stood frozen, his mind racing through impossibilities, his heart breaking over wounds he'd thought were healed. Caleb, Sarah's voice, gentle. What did he say? Kandahar, the ambush that killed my team. Caleb's voice was hollow. He said it wasn't an accident. Someone sold us out. Someone gave the enemy our position. That's not possible. The investigation was run by people like Cross, people who bury inconvenient truths. Caleb looked at her. He's trying to manipulate me. I know that. But what if he's telling the truth? What if Michael and Danny died because someone in our own government wanted them dead? Then we find out. Sarah took his hand. We find out and we make them pay, just like we're making Harlan pay. He gave me 48 hours. Said after that people start dying. Then we work fast. Rodriguez appeared in the doorway. Caleb, we've got a situation. What kind? One of the victims from the warehouse, the teenage girl, Jessica Reeves. She's asking to see you. Says she has something to tell you. Something about her father. Caleb's heart stopped. Reeves? Yeah, why? Caleb couldn't answer. His legs moved on their own, carrying him down the hallway, through the building, toward the victim services area where the rescued women were being processed. Jessica Reeves. Reeves. Michael Reeves, the teammate who died in Kandahar. The brother who'd stepped in front of a bullet meant for Caleb. It couldn't be. It wasn't possible. But Ghost was already running ahead of him, tail wagging, sensing something that Caleb's human mind refused to accept. The victim services room was small and private. A counselor sat with a teenage girl, speaking softly. Jessica looked up when Caleb entered. She was 16, dark hair, blue eyes, a face that carried echoes of someone Caleb had known, someone he'd loved, someone he'd failed. You're Commander Voss? Yes. My father talked about you a lot. Jessica's voice trembled. He said you were the bravest man he ever served with. He said if anything ever happened to him, I should find you. Caleb couldn't speak. The room was spinning. His chest was too tight to breathe. Your father, Staff Sergeant Michael Reeves. He died in Afghanistan when I was 13. Tears spilled down Jessica's face. 2 years later, men came to our house. They said they worked for the government. They said they were taking me somewhere safe. Oh God, they lied. They sold me to people who did things. Jessica's voice cracked. I've been trapped for 3 years. I thought I was going to die in that truck, and then your dog found me. I'm sorry. The words came out broken. I'm so sorry. I should have known. I should have protected you. Michael made me promise. He told me about the promise. Jessica reached out, touched Caleb's face. He said you'd blame yourself for everything. He said that's just who you are. She tried to smile through her tears. He also said you'd never stop fighting, no matter what. Ghost pushed forward, pressed against Jessica, let her wrap her arms around his neck and cry. Caleb watched his brother's daughter hold his dog, and something inside him shattered and rebuilt at the same time. Cross wanted him to walk away, to disappear, to let the monsters win. But Michael's daughter was alive. After everything, after 3 years of horror, she was alive. And Caleb finally understood why Ghost had reacted so strangely to the attacker's scent at the beginning. Why the dog had seemed confused. Why he'd kept sniffing, searching, recognizing something. Ghost had smelled Jessica, Michael's scent on her, the genetic echo of a man he'd worked alongside for years. The dog had known before anyone else. Jessica! Caleb's voice was steady now. The grief had burned away, replaced by something harder. The men who took you, do you remember anything about them? Anything at all? They had badges, real ones, FBI. Jessica wiped her eyes. And one of them made a phone call before they put me in the van. He said, "The architect sends his regards." Caleb stood. Caleb. Sarah was at the door. What are you? Cross didn't just build a trafficking network. He's been using it to eliminate threats, control people. Anyone who gets close to the truth, their families become targets. Caleb's jaw tightened. Michael was investigating corruption in military contracts before he deployed. That's why we were ambushed. That's why Cross had Jessica taken. Insurance against anyone ever connecting the dots. That's insane. It's systematic, it's evil, and it's been going on for decades. Caleb looked at his team gathering in the hallway, at Sarah, at Ghost, at Michael's daughter who had survived against all odds. Cross thinks he's untouchable. He thinks I'll walk away to protect the people I care about. Will you? Caleb knelt beside Jessica one more time. Your father died protecting me. I couldn't save him. I'll never forgive myself for that. He took her hand. But I can honor his memory. I can finish what he started. And I can make sure the people who took you never hurt anyone else. How? Caleb stood, met Sarah's eyes, met Rodriguez's, met the gaze of every person who'd stood with him through this nightmare. By taking down Raymond Cross and everyone who ever worked with him, Rodriguez stepped forward. He's FBI leadership, Caleb. Protected, connected, untouchable. Nobody's untouchable. Caleb's voice carried the weight of 12 years of combat and 3 years of grief. Not when you know where the bodies are buried. And thanks to Victor Harlan's files, we're about to know exactly where to dig. 48 hours, then we don't sleep. Caleb looked at Ghost. The dog's eyes gleamed with the same fire that burned in his own heart. We have a name now, we have motivation, and we have something Cross never counted on. What's that? Caleb looked at Jessica, at the girl who'd survived hell because a German shepherd caught her scent in the wind. Hope, and a really good dog. 47 hours. That's how long it took to build the case that would destroy Raymond Cross. Caleb didn't sleep, neither did his team. They worked through the night, through the day, through another night, coffee and adrenaline, rage and determination. Harlan's files were a gold mine. Financial records, communication logs, encrypted emails that Tommy Chen cracked with military-grade software he wasn't supposed to have anymore. And buried in the data, like a tumor hidden in healthy tissue, was Raymond Cross. Payments traced to his accounts, messages referencing the architect's approval, meeting schedules that placed him in the same cities as major trafficking operations on the same dates. We've got him. Sarah's voice was hoarse from exhaustion, but sharp with triumph. This is enough for an arrest warrant. From who? He controls the criminal division. The Inspector General. Independent oversight. They've been suspicious of Cross for years, but never had evidence. Sarah pulled up another document. This gives them everything they need. Caleb studied the files, the connections, the proof of 3 decades of corruption. It's not enough. What do you mean? This is paper, electronic records, the kind of thing lawyers can challenge and delay for years. Caleb shook his head. Cross has been doing this for 30 years. He knows how to make evidence disappear. He knows how to intimidate witnesses. He knows every trick in the book. Then what do you suggest? We need him to confess, on record, in a situation he can't control. And how exactly do we arrange that? Caleb looked at Ghost, at the dog who'd found Jessica in the wind, who'd led them to the cliff, who'd started everything with a single alert. We give him what he wants. Which is? Me. The meeting was set for midnight, an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Pine Ridge. Cross's territory, Cross's rules. This is insane. Rodriguez paced the safe house floor. You're walking into a trap. I'm walking into an opportunity. He's going to kill you. He's going to try. Caleb checked his concealed wire, tested the microphone hidden in his collar. But he won't, not until he knows what I know, not until he's sure I haven't left any surprises behind. And when he figures out you have, that's where you come in. The team had positioned themselves around the warehouse, Walsh on a rooftop with his rifle, Rodriguez and Tommy Chen covering the exits, Jackson ready with medical supplies, and Sarah monitoring everything from a mobile command post with direct links to the Inspector General's office. The moment he confesses, we broadcast live to federal oversight. Sarah said, no delays, no filtering, straight to people Cross can't control. And if he doesn't confess? Sarah met his eyes. He will. Men like Cross can't resist gloating. It's their weakness. You seem sure. I've been hunting him for 8 months. I know how he thinks. She stepped closer, touched his face. Be careful, Caleb. I'm always careful. No, you're not. You're reckless and stubborn, and you have a hero complex the size of Montana. Her voice softened. But you're also the best man I've ever met, so come back to me. Please. Caleb wanted to kiss her. Wanted to promise that everything would be fine. Instead, he just nodded. Ghost with me. The warehouse was dark. Caleb walked through the entrance alone, Ghost at his heel. His footsteps echoed in the emptiness. His breath fogged in the cold air. Commander Voss, how punctual. Cross emerged from the shadows. He was older than his photograph suggested. 60, maybe 65. Silver hair. Sharp suit. The face of a man who'd spent his entire life winning. Behind him, 6 armed guards spread out in a semicircle. Professional, alert, ready. You came alone? You told me to. And the dog? Ghost goes where I go. That's not negotiable. Cross smiled. Fair enough. He's quite remarkable, I understand. Found those FBI agents on the cliff. Found the victims in the warehouse. Found Michael Reeves's daughter in a crowd of strangers. Caleb's jaw tightened. You know about Jessica. I know everything, Commander. That's my job. Cross walked closer, hands clasped behind his back. I must admit, I didn't expect her to survive. 3 years in the network usually breaks people beyond repair, but she's strong, like her father. Don't talk about Michael. Why not? I knew him better than you did in some ways. Cross's smile widened. He was investigating me, you know, before Kandahar. He'd found irregularities in defense contracts, money moving to places it shouldn't go. He was getting close. So you had him killed. I had the problem eliminated. There's a difference. Cross shrugged. The Taliban were convenient partners. A few coordinates, a few weapon shipments, and your team walked into an ambush that no one could trace back to me. Caleb felt rage building in his chest. The old fire, the killing instinct that 12 years of combat had sharpened into something terrible. You murdered my brothers. I protected national interests. Your brothers were collateral damage. Cross stopped 3 feet away. Just like you'll be, unless you make the smart choice. Which is, work for me. Use your skills for something profitable instead of these pointless crusades. Cross gestured at the warehouse around them. The network isn't going anywhere, Commander. You can destroy one hub, 2, 10, and more will appear. Supply and demand. Human nature. You can't fight economics. Watch me. Stubbornness. The same flaw that killed your teammates. Cross sighed. I'd hoped you'd be more practical, but I suppose some men have to learn the hard way. He raised his hand. The guards lifted their weapons. Any last words? Caleb smiled. Yeah, did you get all that, Sarah? Cross's face went pale. What? The confession. The admission that you orchestrated the Kandahar ambush. The acknowledgement of your role in the trafficking network. Caleb tapped his collar, broadcasting live to the FBI Inspector General's office and about 40,000 people watching online. That's impossible. You swept for standard surveillance equipment. This is military grade, custom built, the kind of thing SEALs use when they need to record war criminals without being detected. Cross's composure shattered. Kill him now. The guards raised their weapons. Ghost attacked. 70 pounds of fury hit the nearest guard before he could fire. Jaws clamped. Bones cracked. Screaming filled the warehouse. Caleb moved simultaneously, disarmed the second guard, used him as a shield against the third. 3 shots. Precise. Economical. 3 more guards down. The final guard turned to run. Walsh's rifle spoke from somewhere in the darkness. The guard dropped. No! Cross scrambled backward, pulling a pistol from his jacket. Stay back, I'll kill you. With what? Caleb walked toward him, unhurried, unstoppable. Your network's gone, Cross. Your protection's gone. Right now, federal agents are raiding every property connected to your name. Your accounts are frozen. Your allies are being arrested. You can't do this to me. I'm a deputy director. You have nothing. Caleb stopped in front of him. Nothing except 30 years of crimes that are finally catching up to you. Cross's hand shook. The pistol wavered. I'll make a deal. Testimony against my superiors. Names you can't imagine. I can give you. You can give me nothing. I want your brother's memory. I can tell you why he really died. The full truth. Things even I didn't tell you. Caleb's jaw tightened. The temptation was real. The hunger to know everything. But then he thought about Jessica. About the 16-year-old girl who'd survived 3 years of hell because men like Cross saw human beings as products. Here's what I know, Cross. Michael Reeves died protecting people. He died doing the right thing, and his daughter survived because a dog found her scent in the wind. Caleb stepped closer. That's the only truth that matters. Please, Ghost, guard. The German shepherd positioned himself between Caleb and Cross, teeth bared, eyes gleaming. Cross dropped his weapon, raised his hands, and for the first time looked exactly like what he was. A broken old man facing consequences he'd spent a lifetime avoiding. Federal agents swarmed the warehouse within minutes. Inspector General Patricia Webb, no relation to Marcus, led the team personally. She'd been waiting for this moment for years, the chance to take down the corruption that had poisoned her agency. Raymond Cross, you are under arrest for conspiracy, human trafficking, murder, and approximately 47 other federal charges. Webb's voice was cold with satisfaction. You have the right to remain silent. I strongly suggest you exercise it. They led Cross away in handcuffs. He didn't resist, didn't speak. The arrogance was gone, replaced by the hollow stare of a man who'd finally lost. Caleb watched him go. Rodriguez appeared at his side. Hell of a night, brother. Hell of a night. The network's done. We've got confirmations from 6 cities. Raids, arrests, victims recovered. It's over. No. Caleb shook his head. It's not over. It won't be over until every person who worked for Cross is in prison. Until every victim is safe. Until every family knows the truth about what happened to their loved ones. That could take years. Then it takes years. Caleb looked at Ghost, sitting calmly amid the chaos. We've got time. Sarah found him outside the warehouse as the sun was rising. The first light of dawn painted the sky in shades of gold and pink. A new day, a new beginning. Hey. Hey yourself. She stood beside him, shoulder to shoulder, watching the federal vehicles depart with their cargo of criminals. How are you feeling? Tired, relieved, angry. Caleb exhaled slowly. I keep thinking about Michael, about how close we came to never knowing the truth. If Ghost hadn't found Jessica, but he did. Yeah, he did. Caleb looked at the German shepherd, who was currently accepting scratches from a grateful FBI agent. He's a good boy. The best. Sarah took his hand. What happens now? Cross's trial, Harlan's trial, months of testimony and evidence and legal procedures. Caleb squeezed her fingers. It won't be quick or easy. I know. And after that, I don't know. I've spent 3 years hiding, 3 years pretending I could outrun what I am. He turned to face her. I don't want to hide anymore. Then don't. It's not that simple, isn't it? Sarah stepped closer. You're a warrior, Caleb. A protector. That's who you are. You can't change it any more than Ghost can stop being a dog. She smiled. But you can choose what you fight for and who you fight with. Are you offering to be recruited? I'm offering to be your partner, in every sense of the word. Her eyes were steady, certain. If you'll have me. Caleb looked at her, at the woman who'd risked everything to expose the truth, who'd dragged herself out of a hospital bed to finish the mission, who'd stood beside him through firefights and confessions, and the darkest moments of this entire nightmare. I'm not easy to live with. Neither am I. I have nightmares, bad ones. I know, I've held you through 3 of them already. And Ghost snores. I've noticed. Sarah laughed, then grew serious. I have something to tell you. Good something or bad something? I don't know yet. She took his hand. I'm pregnant. Caleb's heart stopped. What? 8 weeks, I just found out yesterday. Sarah searched his face. Say something. He couldn't speak, couldn't process. The world had just shifted on its axis, and he was still trying to find his balance. Caleb, I'm going to be a father. Yes, we're going to have a baby. Yes. I don't know how to be a father. Neither do I. I don't know how to be a mother. Sarah squeezed his hand. But we'll figure it out together, the way we figured out everything else. Caleb looked at her, at the woman who'd fought beside him through impossible odds, who'd helped him find redemption when he'd given up on himself, who was now carrying his child. I love you. I love you too. Ghost pushed between them, demanding attention. Sarah laughed and scratched behind his ears. What about you, boy? What do you want to toast to? Ghost barked once, the bark that meant food, treats, whatever you're offering. Some things never change. Later, after the party had wound down and the guests had departed, Caleb sat on the porch with Ghost at his feet. The stars were brilliant tonight, cold and clear and infinite, the same stars that had watched over him in Afghanistan, in Montana, in every dark moment of his life. Room for one more? Sarah sat beside him, wrapped in the blanket, leaning against his shoulder. Always. What are you thinking about? Michael, the team, all the people we've lost. Caleb was quiet for a moment. And all the people we've saved. Do you regret any of it? The losses every day? The choices? He shook his head. No, not one. Not even coming out of hiding. Getting involved in something that almost killed you. Sarah took his hand. I have something to tell you. Good something or bad something? I don't know yet. She took his hand. I'm pregnant. Caleb's heart stopped. What? 8 weeks. I just found out yesterday. Sarah searched his face. Say something. He couldn't speak, couldn't process. The world had just shifted on its axis, and he was still trying to find his balance. Caleb, I'm going to be a father. Yes, we're going to have a baby. Yes. I don't know how to be a father. Neither do I. I don't know how to be a mother. Sarah squeezed his hand. But we'll figure it out together. The way we figured out everything else. Caleb looked at her, at the woman who'd fought beside him through impossible odds, who'd helped him find redemption when he'd given up on himself, who was now carrying his child. I love you. I love you too. Ghost lifted his head, looked at them both, then laid his muzzle on Sarah's knee, directly over her belly. I think he knows, Sarah said. He always knows. They sat together in the darkness, 3 becoming 4, watching the stars wheel overhead. And Caleb Voss, the broken soldier who'd once wanted to disappear, finally understood what he'd been fighting for all along. Not vengeance, not justice, not even redemption. Family, love, hope. The things that made life worth living. The things that made every sacrifice worthwhile. Hey, Caleb. Yeah, our kid is going to have one hell of a story to tell. He laughed. The first real laugh in longer than he could remember. Yeah, they will. Ghost's tail thumped against the porch. The stars continued their ancient dance. And somewhere in the mountains, a light burned in the window of a cabin built by a man who'd learned, finally, that the greatest battles aren't fought with weapons. They're fought with love. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs hope today. Leave a comment about where you're watching from and what this story reminded you of. Subscribe for more stories of faith, courage, and quiet strength. May God bless you and watch over your family. May He guide your steps through the darkness and lead you into the light. And remember, sometimes the greatest heroes aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who fall and fall again and keep getting up because they know that somewhere out there, someone needs saving, and that someone is worth everything. Ghost found 2 dying agents on a frozen cliff. He uncovered a dark secret that reached to the highest levels of power. And he taught one broken man that the journey home isn't about reaching a destination. It's about finding the people worth walking beside. The light burned on, and it always will.